This is a Renew Studios Network podcast. Faithful, uplifting, family-focused.
So good, so good, so good.
New fall arrivals are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Get ready to save big with up to 60% off Vince, Kurt Geiger London, and more.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Because there's always something new.
Join the Nordy Club at Nordstrom Rack to unlock exclusive discounts on your favorite brands. Shop new arrivals first and more. Plus, get an extra 5% off every Rack purchase with a Nordstrom credit card. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Relationships and Reason.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Let's go. Wow, these last few episodes have been so incredible, and we're going to dive into another one again. Another one, like DJ Kettle. Another one.
Okay. He's so random, right?
But truly, I'm really excited about this next topic here. But before I dive into that, hey, make sure that you are subscribing, you are following, you are sharing. And then also, if you know someone or a company that would like to work with us, please reach out. We would love to have that connection. Hey, let's dive in.
Yes, like Jermaine says, welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about something that touches every single one of us. The thing that sometimes it's hard to do, sometimes it's not sometimes it's necessary to do, and it's letting go. Sometimes it's not the transition that is the hardest, right? It is when we have to release in order to get into the next season. Okay. Sometimes it's not whether it's like it could be you have to let go because of an old role, right? A past hurt.
Sure.
Or even something that has been familiar to you. Sometimes holding on to those super, super tight can kind of hinder your growth, right? So letting go of those things to achieve the opportunities that's waiting ahead of us.
Yeah.
Sometimes letting go can feel like it's super hard, it's super difficult. Maybe fear of the unknown, right? I don't know what's ahead. I don't want to forgive because, I don't want that person to go on and live this happy life and I'm stuck or whatever it may be. Letting go of past hurts, broken relationships, a role that you thought was going to be that thing forever. And then, like something dramatic happens and you have to let go and step into the next phase of life, into the next stage. So letting go can be scary, but it can also be something that kind of get you to the next dimension if you have faith or courage, right? It takes courage to do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when we talk about this, I can immediately take up one of the hesitations about, thinking about letting go, right? What's the difference between letting go and like giving up,
Yeah. I think that like giving up can almost be like not trying, like I am like this thing is just too hard for me. So I don't want to try. I don't want to try anymore to push past. Like if you have a project to accomplish, right? And that it's like there's going to be some nights when you have to stay up, until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but you don't want to do that, right? So that's like, okay, I'm through. I'm not doing that, right? So I'm giving up on that task. I'm giving up on the relationship because things just looks like it's just not going to work out, right? While I think that letting go is, I I feel like I have given everything that I can, you know. I feel that if in a situation like in a relationships, you know, I feel that I've hurt this person, I've apologized, I've done the things that I felt, I've done all that I could do, but there's no reconciliation. So I have to let go of this, right? Or, you know, it could be that you got fired, right? And the pain is there. Yeah. And in order to go into the next job, you have to let go of that hurt or that pain, so that way you don't carry it on to the other
You're
situation.
like, nah, I'm not giving up. I'm coming back. I'm showing up on Monday, and I'm gonna be at the desk so that you know I'm dedicated to this. Hey, sometimes it works out for some people.
What?
You know?
Getting fired and then show up the next day?
Yeah, you know, situations like that where it's like, oh, this person is relentless, right? And they are not giving up. Obviously, you know, I'm asking that question because, you know, situations differ, and it's about the context and having an understanding of what exactly, you know, are you giving up on versus like letting go. And I think it's a real important distinction. And something that we have to recognize with each specific situation. Yeah.
I think, I mean, we kind of have a mind of our own to understand the difference, right? I think there comes a time when you have to know, this thing is hurting me. You know, this person is hurting me. And it can be dramatic to where you know that, okay, if I stay, like, you know that within your spirit, like, if I stay, I'm going to, like, you can see your future. This is the road that I'm going. So this kind of is in line with that letting go and giving up type of, you know, scenario that you're drawing. Like, if you have a friend and you can see the path of, you know, being involved in their lives and how their life will take your life to become. Right. And so that you have to, like, make those decisions as you know, look forward to the future with them in your life, and to see, like, okay, is this something that's going to be beneficial for me in the future, or is it something that's going to be detrimental for me? So I don't know if that becomes like a giving up part or a letting go. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think this is such a hard thing for a lot of people, for a lot of us, is that, you know, there's an unknown, right? Because you're saying right now we can sort of visualize sometimes. At times we can visualize, okay, what is the future with this relationship? If I continue to walk alongside this person, if we continue to be with this person, or we continue to stay in this job, I can sort of predict based on what I'm currently seeing here, right? That's I think a lot of our understanding is that, okay, we have this practical outlook and we can kind of see what's going to happen. But I think for most of us, it is the unknown and mixed with hope, right? So we are, especially if you're on the optimistic side, you're like, man, I know this is going to be better, or I believe that this is going to be better, so I'm going to continue to stay within this. I'm going to continue to stay here, even though right now it feels like it's very hard, it's very difficult. I'm going to stay in here at all costs, and I'm just going to go for this ride. And so I think for that reason, it can be very difficult for a lot of us to understand. And so I would like to kind of even talk a little bit more, maybe flesh out for a little as we discover this together, right? Because it's all a journey. How do we better understand when we need to actually let go versus, and what kind of tools or what kind of resources do we use to understand, like, what we need to do or how to make those kind of decisions?
Yeah, I think that whenever it comes to, like, letting go, like you just mentioned, sometimes we don't let go because of, like, we are afraid of what we don't know. Yeah. Like, we are afraid of the unknown. We are afraid of, like, what's around the corner. Like, you know, what is the saying? The devil that I see is...
The devil that I know is better than the devil that I don't.
That I don't know, right? And so people stay in relationships past the time that they're supposed to be in it,
Right.
because they're like, okay, it's comfortable, it's familiar. And even if you can tell that it's no longer serving you, you just kind of stay anyway because you're afraid of what you don't know. And I think that sometimes people can get caught up with like, okay, well, letting go means that you fail.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest hindrance, I think, for a lot of us, that whenever it comes to letting go of something, you know, it means that I fail.
Yeah, you feel. I mean, just think about it. Just in the relationship standpoint, how many of us just, you know, we've seen marriages, or we've seen, you know, just relationships prior to marriage that don't work out, and people blame themselves because they are thinking that if I had done this differently, maybe it would have worked out. Like I gave up on this, right?
Yeah.
And so that is so difficult.
Yeah, it is. And it reminds me, I mean, there's so many situations that we all can relate to, but it reminds me of my my first year playing in the WNBA and going overseas and playing in Europe. I had signed like a 3-year contract, and my first agent, you know, young, not understanding all the dynamics of what having an agent means and what playing overseas, being away from everything and everyone that I've known and all this stuff. And I remember going back to Europe after I came back for Christmas break, so it was in a January time. I was there, and I was like, my knees just started feeling, you know, really, really weird. Like I felt like I couldn't jump or run, or something was going on with my knee. And I was telling, you know, the coaches and the GM, and then, you know, they're telling me that I'm fine. They took me to the doctor, but things can be a little bit not as advanced as in the U.S. in the country that I was in, and they kept telling me that everything looks good, but I'm like, my body feels not right. Like this doesn't feel like me, and I remember telling my agent, you know, hey, something is off. This is not. I don't feel. My knee doesn't feel right. And I remember my agent telling me, hey, it's okay. Just stick it out, right? Like you'll be fine. Just stick it out. Cause you signed a 3-year contract. So you gotta stick it out. And I remember wrestling within that time and trying to figure out like, what am I going to do? I mean, you sign a contract, so you got to play, right? You got to show up to do your job, and just trying to navigate that time. And I remember just having to make the decision, like, okay, I have to cut the contract. Like I'm going to come home. If I have to pay for my own flight to come back home, something is wrong. And I couldn't play. And so I did that. And I remember coming back to the US and getting, you know, going to our doctors and realized that there was like a crack in my patella, in my patella tendon. So that was where the pain was coming from, right? And so I knew, at that point, I felt like I knew I wasn't, you know, crazy. But I remember during that time just feeling like, oh my gosh, like feeling so terrible because I feel like I gave up, you know? And eventually I fired that agent, you know, and that was also like oh my gosh, like I can't believe I did that. Like I have to give up on this agent, right? I have to give up on this contract. It was a 3-year, pretty lucrative contract, right? But I'm like, I feel like I am not, I didn't say I feel like I'm letting go. I felt like I gave up on that. And was that the right decision? Oh my goodness. Like, what is my career going to be? You know, is this agent going to bash me, you know, to not, you know, get into to not get a different agent? Would I not get another job in Europe? And, you know, so all those questions are going through your mind. We talk about fear of the unknown. Things are familiar, and it wasn't that familiar because it was only like a few months since I've had this agent. But because it was something that I signed, I felt like, oh my gosh, I had to stick it out, right? And I think that sometimes where we are, or what we do, we feel like, okay, because I committed to something, I have to stick it out, even through pain and suffering and when things don't feel right, you know? And I'm obviously glad that I took this step and had the courage to be like, okay, you can't be my agent anymore.
Yeah.
Coming back, buying my own ticket, coming back and getting the doctors to see, about my patella and getting therapy, and was able to play. Didn't have to have surgery, but got like really intense therapy so I can play back again for the next season, and getting a new agent. And from that lesson, I've learned never to sign more than a 1-year contract, right? So from that moment, I've never signed more than a year contract. All my contract has just been 1 year, for the reason that I won't be stuck in something if I have to leave, right? And then no one had to like buy me out because of the contract that I signed. But so from that lesson taught me a bunch of different lessons, right? But I just remember how hard that was to feel like I am giving up or I was quitting, and but coming to find out it wasn't quit. There was a reason, for the
So for you in that situation, then would you say, like, as far as identifying and knowing how to be good about that decision, there was conviction, like you knowing your body and knowing like what was healthy and what did not feel right, having that conviction within you. There might be another word that better describes that way that you were feeling, that made you, have a strong case against playing when people were saying you should and the contracts were saying you should. And then also you stated the expert sort of insight or advice you got that you were able to see and just kind of validate, okay, yeah, there is something there. And so that allowed you to sort of make that decision or feel good about that decision.
Feel good that I made that decision. Yes, I think that there was there comes a point when like your body speaks to you, right? Your body eventually is going to shut down if you don't listen to it, right? And whether it's your body, your mind, your gut feeling, the Holy Spirit, however it may be, like you mentioned, I think the conviction word works here. I knew that something was not right, And even though the doctors there were telling me that everything was fine, like I just know my body. I knew that wasn't the way that my knee is supposed to feel. Like I've never felt that way before. And I think in situations that we can, where, we have a friend of ours that, she was in a situation here and she was in a job here where she had a couple mental breakdowns. And that's not the way that she's never had those situations before, but she was trying to like stick out the job, like, no, everything's fine, it's just me. Right. Until she realized like, oh my gosh, like I can't keep doing this to myself. And so she had to like finally quit and, move back with her family. And now she's like, she has seen in hindsight, like all the stuff that was actually going on around her, to understand now that it wasn't just her. It was the situation that she was in. So that's kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? The in between of letting go and giving up. Whenever you've realized like something is not working, I have to make a decision for my own safety or for my mental health. Because I didn't know if I had continued playing what my career would have been. It would have probably ended at that. Short. It could have been really, really short.
Absolutely. I feel like there's a huge lesson in that, where for each of us, there is, that point of conviction that comes in. You listening to your body, you listening to your, this mental health and just kind of understanding. But that comes also with maybe doing some sort of stepping back and kind of looking at the entire environment, because I think it's wise to understand, okay, maybe like in that situation where they are looking out for themselves. They want to make sure that you play. So perhaps they're going to say all the things that, works towards that.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And then for you, you taking the diligence to step back and get in, one, just listening to your conviction, and then having that to go forward and ask more questions, right?
Right.
And and I think a part of that is having good people around you, having good relationships, so that you can talk some of these things through, because it's not always going to be just black and white. It's not going to be super easy for you to call out the things that are not right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that, I said I was able to go on and play later, but during that time of even going through therapy, and getting myself healed, that was not an easy time, because then you're still navigating.
Yeah.
Did I make the right decision?
Right,
Did
yeah.
I make the right choice? Is this agent going to be better for me?
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, like, would I get another contract?
Sure.
So I'm saying that to say, sometimes when we make
Mm-hmm.
a decision, the moment after the decision is not usually pretty
That's good, yeah.
easy.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that,
Yeah, it's always a season of like, wait, did I do the right thing? Did I
Right.
make the right
Yeah.
decision? But life keeps going.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll know, right? Okay, yes, this was the right decision. And I mean, that situation has allowed me to carry on a 10-year career to where I'm like, no, I'm only signing 1-year contracts, to not be stuck again, right, in the first time that I was at. And that could have been my being naive. I'm young, just coming out of college, not knowing what to expect. But I think hard situation kind of allows you, hard lessons to make better ones in the future.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so I think that was one of the tough things, and I think that it could have been given up, or it could have been letting go. I don't know, but it felt like I gave up, but I know that it was necessary and beneficial for my future.
Yeah.
And now I want to talk about whenever we do let go, like the power to release things, like the importance of that. Can you talk about, like, why do you feel like whenever we do let go, why is it so important not to hold on to pain of the past, or you get fired from a job, or not just fired, maybe you're not fired, maybe you have to step away from something that you thought you were going to be in for the next 20 years, or you're going to retire there, like why, like how important it is to like let go or release that power, or that hold.
I truly believe that we underestimate the power of capacity within ourselves.
Okay.
I think we truly we do not understand the power of our, like, the capacity that we hold as individuals. Like, we get 24 hours a day, right? But still we have 8 to 12 that we're functioning, and then a lot of that is spent doing something, maybe working somewhere or doing something hopefully that we love or whatever. But even in our minds, and the things that occupy our minds, and the things that just occupy our thoughts and our actions each day, like that is a load, right? All of that is a load. And so I think, as we just go through life, I truly believe as we go through life, it's one of those, it's truly understanding, like, where do I want to spend most of my time and my effort? And if you have your glass filled with other things, right, that you don't need to have it filled with, then it's harder for you to gain the things that, should be there.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, you think about like forgiveness, right? Forgiveness is one of those things that takes up a lot of capacity. Unforgiveness, is really what I mean. Like, where you are holding on to something, you're holding on to some relationship, and you just think about how much time we spend, whether it's thinking about the things that we should have done or shouldn't have done, or the way that this person or this organization wronged me. And you are spending all of that time thinking about all of that. And what you're not thinking about is the things that truly you might be called for.
Wow, that's
right?
good.
The things
That's
that
good.
you should be doing. And all of that, man, the Bible talks about it like our life is just like it's a mist, right? It's so fleeting. We really don't have a whole bunch of time on this earth, but every moment that we have, we should be moving towards something that truly is adding towards the kingdom and giving life to people. And if we are spending our times like just hung up in unforgiveness, hung up in holding on to something that is not moving towards our purpose, then like truly, like, is that worth it?
Yeah, that's so good. I love that you said that. As you were talking, what came to my mind is just an image of a cup, right? And if your life is a cup, or your capacity is the cup, and you have unforgiveness, and a quarter of the cup is filled with just unforgiveness, bitterness, anger, so that's literally half of your cup that's full already, and then now you're trying to add in, okay, well, time with family, time with friends, okay, work, going on vacation, or doing something that you love, and then you're trying to fill that cup with other things, but then a quarter of your cup is filled with bitterness, and so then you don't have enough room to add even all the other things that you want, unless you literally pour that out of your cup, right? Unless you pour the unforgiveness, the bitterness, the mental struggle that you have to kind of go on to the next thing. If you don't pour that out of your cup, and the thing about it is, like, you're the only one that can do it, right? Nobody can do it for you. You're the only one that decide what goes in your cup and what comes out of.
And the crazy thing is that it affects everything. We tend to think that, okay, if I just have this, this bad relationship with my sister or my mother or my father, right, that's it. I'm going to just keep it over the side over here, and it's not going to be anything. No, it actually touches other things in your life.
It does.
It makes you make decisions based on some of those relationships.
Absolutely.
Right? Whether simple as, I don't go to this region because, my father's in this region, or I go to, my sister, whatever. You hold on to stuff and you make decisions, and you just don't realize, man, how freeing it can be when your conscience is not held up by, unforgiveness or, things that you're holding on from the past.
Yeah. It frees up your mind for clarity.
For clarity.
Right? And for new opportunities.
For love, for everything.
Yeah. For God to drop something in your path, and you being ready to actually, like, take it. Yeah. Because I feel like, there's opportunities all around us all the time. Maybe our eyes are not open, right, to see it, or we are just not ready for it because we're closed off and thinking like, oh, well, no, I got to hold on to this, to this bad thing that happened to me, right? I've been hurt as a child, and I mean, there's so much trauma that people can go through in life. And then we're an adult now, and it's like, okay, well, who's living now?
Yeah. And you're in the adult that you are.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and it's crazy. It's unfortunate because some of us, we don't realize that we need to take a look at some of these things, these hurts, these tragedies that have taken place in our lives in order to start unrooting, right, in order to get to where we need to go. And so by the time we recognize, like, oh man, like, I'm an adult here, and I'm truly kind of like, I'm messed up.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, I'm messed up. I think this way. I move this type of way. And if I look back at this thread, this is the thing that, all the way back here, that's the thing that made me walk and operate in this type of way.
Right.
And so we need to be, I just love the illustrations that you shared earlier, because it's just like, we need to be intentional about, like, being able to step back at times and just figuring out, okay, why is this thing not working, or why am I not feeling this way? And then we need to look at, like, what's the thread that's connecting on this, and figure out, like, okay, do I need to sever it? Like, do I need to repair it? What do I need to do in actuality so that we can live a better life, so I can have a more prosperous life, filled life with where I'm going.
Yeah, like what do I need to empty out of my cup so I can add other things? Because when we look at our lives, we want our lives to be full and successful and plentiful with lots of fun adventure.
Yeah.
We don't want to hold on to the past things, and so I think like some practical ways of what we can do to let go of past hurts, journaling. Right, writing down the thoughts. Like I know sometimes it can be, painful to kind of look back, and we go through life. Life is tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
We all go through things that you just like, oh my gosh, like I would never wish that on my enemy to go through, right? And it's at time hard to go back and relive to go forward, right? But it can also be super helpful in order to navigate whatever is to come, and to embrace the future of all that the future will bring. And I think like journaling can be one of those.
Yeah,
Ways.
I've always had a hard time with journaling. I feel like it's something that I need to do. I know that whenever I do write, it feels good. But what I think stops me with journaling is like when I start, I feel like I'm going to write too long.
Yeah.
And then just the thought of that, like, oh, I don't want to be spending all this time like sitting down and writing. It prevents me actually from like journaling and writing. So one thing that I've done in, just to kind of do it in a way is to record. So I'll record stuff, and I feel like that can help. But I know it doesn't feel quite the same, but I think there is still something there.
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, I don't think a lot of people are not all people want to journal, but some people like to just kind of get their thoughts out of their minds, right? So that could be recording, and now we have ways now where you can speak and it writes for you, right? So that's essentially people's journal too. But for me, I love journaling. I've kept a journal
you have journals, like you have books and books and books. And it's crazy. I was talking to another friend earlier this week, and they have journals, and it's like, and I mean, if you even read some of like biographies from history, and it's just really cool to see how many people actually kept journals.
Yeah. It's actually pretty fun to like go back and when you look through it, you're like, oh my gosh, I went through that, or wow, I'm still saying the same thing. So you see the consistency of your thoughts and that type of things, and so it has truly helped me writing. I think sometimes this is why I journal. Sometimes whenever I have something in my head and in my heart, and I'm writing it on paper, in my head, it can be one thing, but whenever I have to like write it on my paper, I have to like articulate it to where it actually like makes some sort of sense, right? So sometimes what's in your head doesn't necessarily make sense, but when you start writing, the writing has to make sense in order for you to know what you're writing. So then you are like processing the words in your mind so it can actually like come out. So it's like freeing you to say, okay, wait a minute. Is that right? Or is that wrong? Or even if you're angry and you're like, and then Lord, this is what happened, right? And you were right, you started writing. And then for me, sometimes I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Did that happen that way? Or what really did take place?
So is it like filtering it, or is it refining it?
What do you mean?
Like whenever the words are coming out from your head and onto the pages, are you like almost like censoring it in a sense, or making it more clear just to understand it, or are you refining it so that it describes more of what it is?
Well, like some things can be in your head, right? But you know how people say you literally got to think before you speak, or else because you'll just say all sorts of crazy things, hurtful things, mean things, like things that doesn't make any sense. So like it has to filter through your mind before it comes through your mouth, and so that other people can understand what you're saying, if you want to have healthy relationships, right? So I think for me, whenever I'm journaling, it filters through my mind, and then whenever I'm writing, it makes sense, and it has to make sense, and it has to be clear. So if I am rereading it, I'm not looking back like, what are you saying? Like,
But what I'm asking, is it also true?
it is very
You
true.
know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, it is. It is true of what I was feeling at the moment, right? So, you like. Whenever we're angry, we have, I don't know what the science is, but I know there's a bunch of million thoughts in our minds that's coming in like one after the other, one after the other. So when you're writing in your journal, you're going to write a million thoughts down? No, you're not going to write a million thoughts down. You're just going to write, okay, this is how I'm feeling.
I got you.
So you get like one thought or 3 thoughts rather than 15 of them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how a journaler, I think, helped me be able to concise my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions and say, this is what I feel, right? And so it just kind of makes me ball up all my emotions into one thing so I can understand what I'm thinking or doing.
That's interesting.
Okay.
We need to unpack that.
Okay.
That's interesting. Let's go though.
Yeah. So I think that journaling is one. Replacing the fear or while we're afraid of something or while we're afraid of the future with the gratitude of being in the job that you just got let go from.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, I met a lot of people while I was there. You know, the opportunities that situation
I see.
gave
So
me.
yeah, so okay. So even this, you're not talking about what is coming forward or what you're currently doing, but like recognizing the thing for what it was, but also taking gratitude from it
Gratitude
as well.
from it. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And you know, seeking counsel. You know, whether that's a therapist, a counselor, a friend, a mentor, a prayer partner, you know, to be able to guide you through those. Because I think sometimes, you know, journaling helps me. Talking to somebody also helps me, you know, because it makes me feel like I am actually like a face-to-face conversation with someone else and it's not just someone that's gonna like jump on your side all times, right? But somebody that's actually gonna give you, okay, now that you got that off your chest, now what? Like, what are we gonna do, right? Because I think you can have those people that just kind of like riled you up, right?
Get back in there. Get back in there. What you out here? What are you doing? You need to get back in there. Get to work.
They can rile you up to keep on doing your craziness too, right? And it's just like, well, you don't need to take that, and you know, you just be like, okay, wait a minute, right? But knowing the people, like I feel like you have to have a certain people in your life that you know you can reach them when you need advice.
Sure.
You know who to call when you just need to be stirred up. Like, they're going to be on my side, and so I know.
You're hype, man. Yeah.
Like they're super hype man and tell you're right about everything. And you also know that the people who are going to tell you you're wrong about everything, right? And you know who is going to call you and give you good advice about marriage, gives you good advice about life and parenting and stuff. So you got to figure out those people to know who to reach. But yeah, so those are 3 practical advice I would say to help with like letting go and moving on to the next, in order for the next opportunity to come.
Mm-hmm. So don't ball it up. Don't take it and just sink it deep within you and just like let it fester. Don't let it marinate, is what you're saying.
Well, that's for everything. We all know about, well, we've all heard of stories when, you know, like a couple is like fighting and, you know, the little things don't seem to be a big deal until it becomes a big deal. You know, it's like,
why you ain't closing the microwave door? Why?
Why you leaving the plate on the counter? The sink is right there. It's empty. Put it in. You know, those things.
Yeah. I got you.
They can build up. They can build up after a while. But thank God for grace, right?
Yeah.
You can just walk around and close the microwave door every time.
I got you.
Behind me. So we're letting go. We're letting go of that, right, Jermaine? He's not holding on to it at all. He is letting go of that as we move forward. So remember, what you release doesn't erase your story. It just kind of makes space for a greater story. The things that
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's when I think about like how I deal with letting go or forgiveness. Not that I don't feel like I have this constant, thought on it, but I feel like it's really, I believe you're learning everybody's learning as we go. And especially with like trauma and like tough times or hard times, like I love to think about all the stories, all the things that, all the development that can come about in tough situations. And I take it for that. I use that, and I'm like, okay, now I feel, I'm more equipped, I'm stronger for different situations that will come.
Yeah. And I mean, letting go we don't know the importance of it, or we don't see the beauty and the fruit of it until we actually let go and move on, and then look back in hindsight and be like, what if I didn't do that? What if I didn't step away from that job? What if I didn't let go of that relationship with that person I thought I was gonna marry? Like, what would my life really truly have been like? When we look at it. At those type of situations. And I think that we don't get to see those new opportunities if we hold on to the things that we know for a fact. Now, we're not saying, okay, go quit your job and go just do stuff and be like, okay, I'm letting go. It's like, oh no, you gotta be practical about this. The things actually have to make sense, right? It's not just something that you like, oh, I feel like letting go today, so I'm giving up on everything. Right? Yeah. But it's things that are.
Yeah, and for a lot of us that do have hope and know and trust in God, that we know that He's going to watch over us, right? That we are going to be good. This reminds me of something I think I've probably shared a few times on this podcast, is that time when Jesus went to Bethany after Lazarus died, and I believe it was Martha that said this to him, like, if you were here, right? Obviously, she felt like bitter during that time. Like, if you were here, this would not have happened. Yeah. Right? And I just remember, and I'll continue to remember every time I'm having hard times or having trouble, like dealing with, what could have happened or what should have happened, when Jesus looked at her and said, hey, didn't I tell you, if you would just believe, you would see my glory, or you'd see the glory of God revealed. And so a lot of times we just don't know what's going to happen or how God is going to show his glory in those tough times, those tough situations as you're going through it, and as things are moving forward. But if you do trust and watch for it, it will be revealed in time.
I love that. Letting go isn't about losing. It's about making space for new opportunities, space for peace, and space for the version of yourself that you're still becoming. So if you are holding on tightly today, I want to encourage you, loosen up your grip. What's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. Courage doesn't always look like running into something new. It often starts with releasing what no longer belongs. So we appreciate you guys today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for journeying through this life with us. And remember, it takes courage to let go, but it also takes courage to grow.
Hey, okay. Let's go. All right, y'all. We so appreciate you, and just thank you for tuning in to another episode of Relationships and Reason. All right. Follow us on socials, and we will see you next time, or talk to you next time. Talk to you next time. Until we have video. All right. Later, y'all. Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.
Doug.
Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.